Hi, this is Gary Gettle, Psychologist, Psychotherapist, and today I have a very interesting subject for you. I call it the secret of my successes. So, yes, I'm a psychologist, psychotherapist. I have my own office, my own practice. I've done quite a lot of different things in my life, and at the moment I am working on being a successful YouTuber. And so I also have written books. I've done quite a lot of other things in life. People sometimes say, how do I manage to get it done, and how I've been so successful. I'm not a multimillionaire. I don't have vast amounts of money, but I have a comfortable life, a comfortable home, and I've succeeded to do quite a few positive things, I would suggest. I won't go through all of them today, but I think it's really interesting to reflect on how one succeeds in life. And this last week, I came up with an idea, which often when I'm in therapy with people, I think about different ways of approaching, different ways of helping them, different ways to help them imagine how to succeed or how to change their lives. And I came up with just a simple idea of dream, be optimistic, and do the work. And when you think about how people succeed in life, that's basically how it is. Dream. Allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to say, oh, this would be nice, this would be wonderful, this is what I would really, really like. And unless you open up yourself to dreaming, to saying, what is it that I would really, really like in life? That if you don't allow yourself that, then you can't ever have anything, because you've nothing to start off with. So allow yourself to dream. And then once you have your dreams, whether it be a job or a relationship or whatever, body, then move on to realistic optimism. Now, realistic optimism is one of the terms that I've created because it's very, very specific in what it means. Realistic optimism is that I feel that it's possible, but let's look at the reality. Let's look and see if things go well, is it reasonable to expect that it can work? It's not a mad optimism that I can do anything, I can be anyone, everything will work. No, that's stupid. Because it's very easy to set ourselves off on goals and dreams and fantasies that are totally, completely unrealistic. That's not the goal. The goal is not for you to fantasize to be the next president of the USA if you're not born in America.
G'day, I've always dreamt to be your president, and today, I am.
For instance, it's never going to happen. It's just not realistic. To have the body of a top model if you happen to be very short and very wide as a person, etc., etc. There are things that are just not realistic. So realistic optimism is a way to say, is it reasonable that this could happen. If the things fall well, is it possible for this to happen? And once you say, okay, this is my dream, this is reasonable, this is realistic that it could happen, you do the work. And you work, and you work, and you work. Because things are not going to come from nowhere. If you don't put the work in, they will never appear. If you don't buy a lottery ticket, you can never gain. Now, people say, okay, well, it's good in concept, what about in practice? Well, I'll give you a few personal examples, just so you can see how my life has been based on these concepts, without being aware of them. And most people that are successful in life never ever think in these terms. Of course not. They're too busy being successful.
Dream your dream. Be realistically optimistic. Work, work, and keep working for your dream.
But they're successful because this is what has happened. This is what this is the system, unconsciously, that most successful, if not all successful people use. Why I'm talking to you about this is that maybe you're not being successful, and if you're not being successful, quite likely one of these, at least one of these three elements is missing in your life. So, one example. I've got three. One example. First example is in computing. At one point, I had some very basic computing course, but my
ex-wife,
who was an astrologer, she's died now, rest her soul. She's an astrologer, and she had her basic astrology program, and she had this fantasy that maybe I could help her rewrite this program into something more complicated. So I went to do this computing course, which I think was in Fortran, which was not very useful, but I still did. And then I taught myself Basic and then Visual Basic, which are two computer programs. And I did succeed to help her create the program that she wanted. And then through stuff that I won't go into, I decided that I wanted to try and work in programming, and I didn't have the time or the means to do a training and to go through the normal stuff. So I went and tried to get myself some temporary work. And I got my job at the most basic level of doing a spreadsheet for a company. No big deal. They're working at Shell, somewhere near Birkenhead, and they needed someone to do data entry for this spreadsheet, which just wrote down what they were doing, what hours. I have no idea what was in it for a long, long time. And that was it. It was a few weeks. I got some money for it, and that was fine. And then a few months later, I got a call from them saying, would I like to come to Scotland? They had another petroleum company that they would need to do also some other engineering company. They would need to do some work on it. And would I be interested to come up to Scotland and spend a couple of weeks doing their data entry? They were very pleased with me. And I did some extra work. I sort of expanded their spreadsheet and made it more complicated and more interesting for them. They were very happy to invite me to come up and pay me wages and pay for my hotel, and it was a nice opportunity. So I went up. And when I got there, they started to be a bit uncomfortable because there was a week's delay on the contract when they were supposed to start, and nothing for me to do for a week. And they said, well, if I want to, I'm here. So they've already booked the hotel. And if I want, I'll just stay around, hang around the office. So I did. And in their little office, it's a smallish engineering company, I was wandering around, and I found a small computer all by itself in a little room, all lonely. And I said, well, what's this computer doing alone? And they said, well, we'd organized someone to write us a program, and they couldn't succeed to finish it, so they gave up. So we have the computer and we have the program half finished. So I said, well, is it okay if I have a look at it? I have nothing else to do. So sure, who cares? So I went and looked at it, and by some miracle, it was written in BASIC. And there was also what they call a compiler, which at those times was necessary to make it to make the program work. This is a long time ago. We're talking about over 30 years ago. 35 years, something like that. So I had this dream. I had this weird idea that maybe I could make this program work. It was a dream because it was stupid. It was illogical. It was unreasonable that the person that was writing the program couldn't succeed to do it, and me, being self-taught in this language, could succeed it. But I dreamt it. I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could make this program work? It was a dream. So I said to the people, would it be okay if I had a look at it and see if I can make it work? And they said, sure, do what you want. So I started to look at it. And then I looked at it and I said, I think I could make this work. Realistic optimism. I think I could make this work. I'll need maybe 2-3 weeks after I'll finish the work that was planned. I think I said 2 weeks. Give me a few weeks and let me look at it, and I'll let you know if I can make it work. Now, that's not very reasonable, but that's what I said. So I went and did this day, or I started working on it with those days that were left, and I went to do this data entry, which was 2 or 3 weeks. And I won't go into that, but they put me in a very nice motel with a very, very high-class restaurant, which I got bored with very quickly because of everything in sauces. Anyway, so that was sorted. I came back, and they kept me in this hotel, and I worked on this computer program. And I worked, and I worked, and I worked, and I got it working. I succeeded it by a lot of hard work. So I dreamt that I could do it. I was realistically optimistic I could do it, and I got it working with a lot of hard work. And from then on, they kept me for a year. I installed a computer network. I was their computer network responsible. I installed programs. I taught them how to use all the Microsoft Office stuff. It was totally new for them. And I wrote databases and did lots of interesting stuff for them during that year. But it was only because I dreamt that I could do this. I was optimistic, realistically optimistic, and then I did the hard work. One situation. Then, some years after, I met a Swiss student. I was living in the spiritual community of Fintor. And we started a relationship, and she said, what are you going to do in life? But I did have a business degree, but I never used it, useless. And so I came to Switzerland, in the French-speaking part. And my French was particularly rudimentary. Talking about 1 year at lower school at some point. Really rudimentary. She said, what are you going to do? So we thought about it, and I said, I like theatre, I like talking to people. And she said, why don't you become a psychologist? That way you could do something called psychodrama. And you could do those things. So the truth of the matter is, I did become a psychologist, and I never did psychodrama, but that's a whole different story. So I came to Switzerland. I inscribed at university with the help of a friend. And 6 months later, I started university in Switzerland, speaking hardly any French. Well, we studied in French. Now, there we go. The dream, become a psychologist. Realistic optimism. Well, I have a degree anyway, so I know how to do university, I know how to study, I know how to get this. I mean, it was already, I started psychology at 38. I finished my ordinary degree at 21, 22. So it was like 16 years since I was studying properly. Other than something called the Citizen Guild Computing, which was a few weeks. Didn't really count for much. So I was here in Switzerland, in a country I didn't speak the language, inscribing in university which was in French, and what I did not realize is there was a fixed failure rate of 50% per year. That means that 50% of the students would fail every year. That's just the system. It's not if you're good or if you're bad. You just have to be in the top 50%. That's in psychology every year. Now, I heard this, but I didn't actually believe it. So there's a certain psychological denial of that. But I dreamt that I could succeed in university. I was reasonably optimistic because I already done university and I considered myself fairly intelligent. And then came the work. And the work was enormous because I had to study in a language that I did not in any way control, and in a system that I didn't understand, and with expectations of things that I didn't know about. So it was a lot of work, and I managed. In the 4 years, because it was at that time something called licence, which was 4 years, I succeeded it. I dreamt it, I was optimistic, and I put in the work. And I became a psychologist. After that, I found work. It was a very complicated story. I don't want to go into that all the time. It's just too much. So where are we now? I'm on YouTube. I wish to be a YouTuber. At some point, I will need to retire, and at some point, I will need to have what we call passive income, which means that I need to have income not from going to work every day, from YouTube, from my books, from giving conferences, from doing workshops, whatever, but not going to work every day. So that's my new dream. My dream is to get enough passive income that I can afford to retire comfortably. Is it realistically optimistic? Yes, I can do it. Other people have done it. I have subjects to talk about. I have myself to sell. I've already written over a dozen books, so I know how to write. I've given conferences. I've done workshops. So all these things are realistic. So all it takes now is work and investment. And up to now, I've basically invested. Now we're on the 16th of January, I think, 2025. And I really started to invest heavily since about December of last year. So it's just a month, really. And I've made some longer videos before as an introduction, but they were sort of like just sort of getting started as sort of an introduction. I've done quite a few shorts, but I've really started to invest at the end of December. I've invested in time. I've made a few longer form videos. I made quite a lot of short form videos. I've invested quite a lot of money, as in paying for promotions. And over the month, I have two channels. I have an English channel and a French channel. I could speak a bit of French now. I now have, in the English channel, about 15,000 subscribers after 1 month. And in the French channel, 20,000 subscribers after 1 month. And I am just starting to go forward with enough hours to see the progress. So I have about 300 hours of long views in the English channel and 400 hours in the French. That means that in 1 month I'm already 10% towards monetization, which, yes, I've invested, as I say, a lot of time, a lot of energy and a lot of money. I'm obviously working full time. But again, dream it, realistically optimistic, find a way to say how that works, and then put in the work, put in the resources, put in the time, the effort, and if necessary, the money. And then you will see results. If you're on the right path, then you will get results. But if you miss out on any of those, then you won't. It doesn't happen. It's not given. Some people, yes, will walk down the street and say, oh, you should be a top model, and oh, you can join an agency, you should be an actor, actress, and I'll put you in a film or something like that. These things happen, but the one in a billion, not even one in a million, one in a billion, it happens. Somebody has an idea and someone says, oh, it's a great idea, let's do this idea, and they take your idea and you make your fortune. These things happen, but they're so incredibly rare. Dream it, be optimistic, and put in the work. Then you will have success. I thank you for your time. Bye for now.